Obi One Podcast made possible by BetWinner. It's another big name. Welcome along to another edition. And John, this week we're in conversation with a man who you told me is like a big brother to you, or at least he was. He still is.
He still is, yeah.
Yes.
He still is. A brother is always a brother, yeah. But amazing guy, a guy I got to know. Listen, I watched growing up as a kid, fellow Nigerian, watched him play for Nigeria, watched him represent the national team. So yeah, somebody that I grew up watching, and then I fortunate enough to work with him, of course, when I played for Chelsea. A guy who absolutely helped build the football club, Chelsea Football Club, to where it is today. Obviously, with Roman Abramovich, Marina Granovskaya, they built Chelsea Football Club to where it is today, and now the club is where it is today, healthy and successful.
Mikel Emenalo is the man we're going to hear from in a matter of moments. I just very quickly want to get your thoughts on him. You said you looked up to him as a young boy when he was playing, of course, a member of Nigeria's 1994 World Cup winning World Cup squad.
Yeah.
What was he like to kind of work under as sporting director at Chelsea? Did he always have one eye? Did he look after you in the football club?
Well, sort of, yeah. I think everybody kind of know Michael kind of not look after me, but Michael was always there, to. But the good thing with Michael is always very honest. He's always very honest. He never wanted me to be mistreated. He never wanted, just like any other player, not just me. He looked after every other player at the club. He made sure everybody got what they deserved, and everybody was treated fairly. I must say that everybody was treated fairly. But of course, being a Nigerian, coming from the same country, and somebody that I know, and then our friendship kind of became even more stronger. So, and Michael was always there. It was always somebody that I had to confide in. When I'm not playing well, things are not going well for me. It was somebody that I went to speak to. How can I turn the corner around? How can I improve in what I do? So Michael was always there, to advise me, to tell me what to do. So for me, he was a massive big brother, at the football club.
How hands-on was he, John? Like, for you players at Cobham, at the training ground, would you see Michael day to day?
Michael was pretty much involved. Michael was very much involved. We used to come down, to the training pitch with his tracksuit on. Yeah, also with his football boots as well. Yeah. It was always on the touchline, watching and paying attention exactly to what is happening. So it's not somebody that you tell lies or you come and you go and feed him stories, because he was always there. He had his eyes on everything that was happening. So Michael was always very, very hands-on, and he knew how everything worked at the club, and somebody that Roman and Marina trusted really, really well.
Did the managers love him popping down? The sporting director coming down with his tracksuit and boots on, I would be thinking, Michael, do you want to play? Like, were the managers okay with that?
Yeah, no. I think every manager that I saw was okay with it.
Because he's a good guy, right?
Yeah, because he was a good guy, but he never got involved in what was going on the pitch. He was just there watching, keeping an eye, observing and listening to what's going on. Whenever we had our crazy fights, the fight that happened in the training, tackles, people punching each other, Michael saw everything, and he was part of the whole thing, and it's something that, when we talk about it today, me and him, we have a laugh, because, everything that happened, he was there, he saw it, and he was very, very hands-on. And the most important thing as well, that Roman and Marina really, really trusted him. They really trusted him. And he was there. He was a big, big figure at the football club.
We will get insight in this upcoming interview with Mikel Emenalo into the workings of Chelsea Football Club. But more than that, John, this is an exploration into the Saudi Pro League. He is over there now. He's in a senior position in the hierarchy with which are running Saudi football. And there's fascinating
He's the
insight.
man, isn't he?
He is
right
the main man.
He's the man. He's the
main
man.
So for you to get the phone call, we'll be there, boss. And we were there.
I might come out of retirement, you know what I mean?
You'll make some money if you did that, John. But it's great. And upcoming, it's a real eye-opener as to the plans and the ambitions.
As to what the kingdom wants to do. It's a real eye-opener. Like, I think everybody should listen to this episode. It's absolutely fascinating. Again, firsthand on everything that, how the Saudi League is run, how players have been bought, and the process of getting these players into the country, into the football teams as well. It's crazy to think that we all think that
Yeah.
Players just go everywhere, wherever they think. But it's not. So you have to listen to that, and you have to listen to the episode to make sure that you understand the ins and outs. And there is no other place to get the first-hand information than from the man who gives the okay.
You're absolutely right, John. Let's get into it then. No stone left unturned.
No.
We'll talk Victor Osimhen. We'll talk Mo Salah, Jordan Henderson, Cristiano Ronaldo, and even Kylian Mbappé gets a mention to sit back and enjoy then our conversation with the one and only Michael Emenalo.
BetWinner is your reliable partner in the world of sports betting.
We're back. Once again, it's the Obi One Podcast made possible by BetWinner, and we've used some of those air miles again, John. Where do we find ourselves?
We keep flying around, don't we? We're everywhere. But of course, like we always do, we always bring the best to the Obi One Podcast, and we've done that once again.
We have. We're in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We're in the beautiful Riyadh, and we're with a man, John, that you have called a big brother.
Yep. The man who's, helped build Chelsea Football Club to where it is today. I mean, all the success we had together. We shared all the, beautiful, sad, but mostly, beautiful moments that we shared together. And he helped, brought all this massive names, at the football club. And I'm hoping that's what he's doing right here now in Saudi Arabia.
What we're embarrassing is what we're doing. It's Michael Emenalo. Michael, welcome to the Obi One Podcast.
Thank you very much. Good to be here. There's no better place to be. It's like suddenly going to your little brother's, graduation, party from. I mean, this is wonderful for me, and John Boy is a wonderful
big brother. He's called you his big brother.
Absolutely.
Is that fair?
It's fair. It's fair, and I'm proud to be the big brother. If there was some brother that I want to be proud of, I'm proud of John. I say that. Let me just make this point before we go further. I came into Chelsea at a time when the team was humming. Jose had helped build an outstanding squad, and John was with Solomon Kalou, the little brothers in the mix of these absolutely extraordinary monsters of players and personality. We're talking, Didier Drogba, Michael Ballack, Makalele, Claude Makalele, Frank Lampard, John Terry, Ricardo Carvalho, Peter Cech.
Oh. You're showing off now, Michael.
Michael Essien. I mean, it's just, the list. And then it got even better. And you forget the likes of Belletti, you don't forget Paulo Ferreira. Ashley Cole, one of my favorites. Ashley Cole. John would tell you one of the biggest professionals you can find. Played with a really bad ankle people didn't know for years. And John and Solomon, not only supremely talented, but young and incredible personality and character. I think Jose will probably tell you that better than I did because he had them first. And I felt like I needed to protect them. In the end, I didn't have to do anything. They go in and they rough and tumble it all day. It was a pleasure. It was a real pleasure to see that. And the success that they have, just to be, don't forget he did 11 years at that club. It's not easy to do. I think only Peter Cech and of course the English boys stayed longer than John Obi.
That's humbling, John.
Yeah, I mean that's amazing to hear that. But I mean, Michael is spot on there. I think obviously I knew that the protection that Michael most of the time was there for me, Kalou, because we were the youngest, out of those illustrious names that's been mentioned. But then at the end of the day, like you said, we had to grow up very quickly, and growing up very quickly meant that you have to defend yourself, and that's what we didn't let anyone bully us. And that's exactly what we did.
Michael, you're here in Saudi. I've got to, before we get into what you're doing here in the kingdom, I've got to ask what it was like. John's spoken very eloquently, John Terry likewise, about Roman Abramovich. What was he like as a boss and as a mentor, Michael?
Well, I think the best way to describe what Roman meant in terms of club ownership is that in the last few years, I've met people who worked at football clubs, who worked at our football club, who went to other places. And the common theme is that we didn't realize that he was actually the best prototype of a modern football club owner.
Yes.
And it's a combination of the fact that he had resources that he wanted to put into realizing his passion, but he also followed that passion very, very closely. He was very close to his players. He was very close to what he wanted, which is good football, winning. And that he also was interested in seeing how things will get better. He cared about winning on the pitch, development of players, being strong off the pitch, and you look back now and you think, where do you find such a wonderful leader for a football club? There's just not that many, and we're all very lucky. I am in particular indebted to him, for the opportunity and the support. He allowed me to express my creativity without question. Once he trusts you and he believes in you, then the sky is the limit. And it's the same with players. So when it came down to contract discussions, it doesn't matter whether what nationality you are, what team you played for, what country you played for. It's all about what you've done on the pitch. And that's again the reason that I said this young man in front of you, 11 years in that club, with this ownership, with the demands, with the ambition, is an outstanding achievement.
You're a legend, John.
I think obviously with I think with that role you kind of worked very closely also with Marina Granovskaya as well.
Yes.
I know you've just said there how amazing Roman is, and we can't thank him enough. I mean, absolutely fantastic. You don't find those owners anymore. I think the only thing he didn't really do was to put his shoes on, was to put his football boots and train with us.
Exactly.
He cared so much about everything that was happening at the football club.
Absolutely.
I think if he knew how to play, he would have put his shoes, boots on, and come and train with us. But
I have a favorite story. Where I was watching an academy game on the sideline, and I got a call.
It's the boss.
And I look at it, I think this must be a mistake call. And no, it wasn't. And he was watching the same game somewhere. I said, who is that little number 2? And I said, what? Who's the, and it was, I wouldn't embarrass you, one of our young and up and coming. And I said, he's one of, the really talented ones that were waiting to come through, but he's still very young. I think he's very good, but he's small. You think he's gonna make it? I said he will make it. He's.
You make me want to
guess.
And
I'm thinking, what? Really? That goodbye. That was it. But he's. When I tell that story, just to let you know the level of interest that he has and passion. And this is an under-16 game. It wasn't. We're not talking. It's not. We're not talking about first team Champions League match. And when you consider how the teams were built over time and the changing of the guard, people didn't realize that we had to phase out some really top players over time, and that team changed from Belletti, Ballack, Cavallo, Terry to Eden Hazard, Oscar, Juan Mata,
Gary Cahill,
and he came to me and said, "Where are you finding this? The Three Amigos when he was playing behind the Three Amigos." It's too fast. It's too fast for some people, but absolutely wonderful club owner. Yeah.
That's amazing to listen to those memories. We'll maybe come back. We'll circle back to Chelsea. You're in a new job now, though. Yes. You're here, Michael, in what is a very, very important role. And I've had a lot of people, John and I telling friends we're about to interview Michael, the transfer guru, as my friends would say, of the Saudi Pro League. What is your job? Well, let's be clear on that first and foremost. What is your remit for the SPL?
Well, I am the the chief football executive. And what that means is, that I'm in the middle of decision making for all the technical aspects of, football as it relates to the league. The league in itself is a regulatory organization. So what we do is provide checks and balances to our clubs to make sure that they do the things that make a football club run well, professionally. And that's, governance, financial hygiene, recruitment, youth development, and academy, training, community involvement. So I'm here to make sure that those things are put into place, because to have a good football club and a good football ecosystem, it's not just about signing players. It's not just about recruiting players. You have to manage those players, and also you have to manage the environment in which those players exist. And you have to also open the door for the younger generation to come through. These guys, when young players come from the academy to train with them, I get my first assessment from these guys.
The first team,
from the first team players. And they'll come to me and say,
he's one.
Yeah, that one is not ready.
He is ready.
That one, look out. And they're usually right. There's all this talk now about, football science and data, but the best football science and data is, the guys who've done it before.
Yeah.
Because they can tell you, look, I've just bumped into a boy that trained with us and he's good or he's not good. So my job here is to develop the football ecosystem, to advise on it, and to help, professionalize the clubs in those many ways that I mentioned.
BetWinner is your reliable partner in the world of sport betting.
BetWinner.
And I know a lot of people, not just footballers, people who, now we talk about the country, Saudi as a whole, footballers want to move here, people who want to move here to work here in Saudi Arabia. And sometimes some people have a little bit of doubt creeping in their minds. What do you say to those people to make them know that, okay, you live out here, you enjoy living out here, it's an amazing place, the economy is growing, like the football is growing. What do you say to those people to feel comfortable knowing that this place is absolutely amazing place to live?
Well, I without, the blunt response is don't be a snub. Keep an open mind. Come out and experience things. Of course, there will be things that are done differently, or than how you've seen it. People will dress a different way or speak a language that you don't understand, but that means nothing. That is what obtains in every other country, every city in the world.
Yeah.
You get that. But ultimately, what I've realized is that we're all they want the same things that everybody else want. They want to live a good life. They want to live a long life. They want to be respected, and they want to respect people. They want to be entertained when it comes to the actual job that I do. They want to go to the stadium and watch a really good football match.
Yes.
They are intensely excited about the fact that these guys that seem so far away not long ago are now people that they can go to the stadium and watch and probably extend their hands and shake
them,
and shake them and get their autographs. And it's the same thing that obtains everywhere, wherever you go. So from a personal experience, I can't speak highly enough of the life that obtains here. For one, the sense of security and safety is really something that you don't take for granted. But I get everything I want here, whether it's a restaurant or medical care or whatever it is that I need here. Friends, I've got here in abundance.
I was just told before you come on air that you know the best restaurants in town.
We did hear that, Michael. We did hear that.
Yeah, I'm in that age, where I get out quite enough to I can't bother myself to stand and cook.
The other thing that John told me when talking about you, he spoke very highly of you, Michael. He said that you eat breathe, sleep football. Football. And I wonder, you've talked about the remit that you have. There's an awful lot to that. I think you've been in the job now about 14 months.
Yes.
And part of that remit, and I jotted this down, squad mapping. You've got to explain that to me in terms of the clubs have their own autonomy. The clubs are able to identify areas that they need to improve. Where do you step in? How do you help a club to map out their squad?
So I think this is a more scientific term than what we used to call recruitment strategy.
Okay.
It's nothing more than that. Is what we did at Chelsea.
It's for the cool kids now.
At Chelsea, we created or started the first bespoke platform for recruitment for our players. Was the first thing that we did. We got some brilliant guy there who was working, with me, named Matt Halland. It was just absolutely. He came to see me in the office, and I said, I don't want to use that same platform that everybody is using. We want something else. And then he said, okay, give me 3 weeks. And he used some quick click view, whatever, and he built a wonderful system. And we used that system to corner the recruitment market at Chelsea to identify areas to go in. That's when we went into Belgium, and we were able to get the best out of Belgium. Eden Hazard, Thibaut Courtois,
Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah.
And this was, and I remember John Boy kicking me on the foot when Oscar came after. I said, where do you find this? You're crazy, And then I know that I've signed a very good player.
Yeah.
But squad mapping is just our attempt to help the clubs, and to be able to do that. We need to understand what they have, what they're looking for, and what their priorities are. So we want to stop clubs from just going out and recruiting just because an agent or somebody recommends some name that came out. So you recruit based on what you actually need. Of course, every once in a while something comes up that is better than what you have. You can go after it. So that the squad mapping is an attempt, to really in detail figure out what every single club have currently, what they want to keep, and what their priorities are, as the transfer windows come and go.
Makes sense.
A lot has been made about, I think, obviously the Saudi League. I mean, just for people out there, is Saudi football a threat to European football?
No. Saudi football is an addition to the football ecosystem as a whole, and I think that the football ecosystem needs to grow. The reason for that is because, like every business and every organization, you need to grow to remain viable. Of course, football is here to stay. It's a game that we all love.
Of course, yeah.
But we have, the likes of you, who's recently retired, have a lot to offer. Whether it's in the coaching on the pitch, or coach education, or how to teach an understanding of the game, development of youth, even in commercial. Our commercial director here is a former Bayern Munich academy graduate.
Wow, okay.
So we need the ecosystem to grow and expand, and we're very thankful, to the people of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the government, that they've opened up this opportunity, opened up their purse to want to make this happen.
It's interesting, John. That's another man who's mentioned your name with coaching. Carlo Ancelotti did it, and now Michael's done it. You need to get your coaching
I need
badges.
to get my coaching badges.
You need to give back. Forget this podcast.
Yeah, no, I think that's quite clear, and I think one thing also that you've just said there, that football needs to grow. And do you also think that with the Saudi League buying all this, spending all this money and buying all these players from European teams, is that another way of like helping also the European football by putting so much money back into it and growing the game as well? Because that's a different way to look at it.
Absolutely, that's without a doubt. Even if that's not, we regret a little bit the narrative that this is all just about spending money. It has to be more than spending money. It's about opening up opportunities. You know, we're talking about potentially the World Cup coming down here in 2034. So you have another very competitive, resourceful, league that all of us can participate in. Is a wonderful thing. Yes, but in the short run, the fact that now money, resources have to change hands from here to Europe and other countries where, I think the last time I checked, we had about 17 different countries that we recruited players from.
Wow.
And this means that, this is just getting distributed.
Yeah, exactly.
Across the continent.
It's a great way of looking on it. It's a great way of looking at 17 countries have profited from Saudi money going back into the game.
There could be a chance for the MENA countries to actually, have a competition that is also of interest, because I recently went to watch our cup final in Abu Dhabi. The semi-final, I think, between our two clubs in Abu Dhabi was sold out. So there is an interest.
Wow.
There is an interest in other countries, in the MENA countries, for what the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is doing and for what the SPL is.
And Ronaldo moving here, how much of an impact did you think that has brought to not only the league but to the country as a whole? How do people see football now? Not just kids. Men, women, is that something that they picking up more interest into? Has he come in here and kind of changed people's mind, the way they see football?
Well, I think it's not just changing people's mind here in the way that they see football, because when you are at that level, which people are looking at you to understand whether this thing is real or not. Whether this thing is something that is happening as being narrated by people who don't want to believe it. Is it something that is happening out of space? And then they say, oh yeah, Ronaldo is here.
He actually lives here.
He actually lives here. Yeah. So this is true. This must be true.
He must be living 5 minutes away from here.
Exactly. It's not far away. And I think that's important. And I think he brings incredible credibility to the league. Because he's saying to everyone, I'm okay here.
Living here.
I'm okay living here. I'm okay playing here.
His family is safe.
My family is safe. The heat is fine. And the food, the culture is amazing. And you asked me about lifestyle, and I think that's something that people will find out soon. I mean, the culture is amazing, and there are different places. The stuff that is happening in Neom, if you go to Alula, and of course, there's all the stuff that is happening here in Riyadh. I encourage you to go.
The Neom,
check out some of the stuff that is here in Riyadh. Riyadh Boulevard World, and Sports Boulevard that is being built, and all the great cultural, in Dirab, all the great cultural activities taking place here, and in Jeddah. So I think when you come in and you
there's
have a
so
chance,
much more, not just football,
exactly.
Isn't it?
And you must be rubbing your hands with glee, Michael, when you hear Ronaldo kind of intimate that he wants 1,000 goals. He's about 100, just shy of 100 off that. So we might get another 2-3 years of Ronaldo here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which is good for you, I would imagine.
Well, I mean, I think what's good, for us is actually to get. As John would tell you, is you want to be, this is what the Premier League has achieved, where you wake up and there is a Premier League game. It's Brentford versus Brighton, and you stay up and watch it. You don't check. Of course, if it's Chelsea, Arsenal, or Chelsea, Manchester City, it's a little bit more spicy. But you watch any game in the Premier League, and we want to get there. And I think Ronaldo and Benzema and Mane and all these guys who are here are going to help us, get there. But ultimately, the dream is that you come to watch, Saudi Pro League match. You just want to see quality players of every age or every star level, performing it.
So. We've just mentioned those names there. It would be interesting to know, you speak to these guys. Do you once in a while meet them somewhere and speak to them and ask them, how are you feeling? how do they say they feel? They must be happy here with their family, their kids going to school, and the safety. You've just talked about the safety of living here.
Yes.
Are they happy with all that?
Yes, I've had this conversation with Steven Gerrard as a coach. I've met Mane in the beginning of things, and Mane, as you know, I was telling the story how he was a thorn in our flesh, going to Southampton.
Oh yeah, he was.
And then Liverpool, and nightmare. But an absolutely wonderful human being.
Yeah.
A real pride of Africa. Just fantastic player, and even bigger pride of the football ecosystem. Wonderful player, and I remember running into him, and he was just. It wasn't so much emotional as so much teeming with pride, and said, "This is my best ever decision, and I'm so happy to play football here."
Wow.
And you get that. I think. Caribbean people speculated when things weren't going well, I'm going to leave. He came here, it was Ballon d'Or when he came here. He didn't have to come. He could have waited another year, 2. But once he got wind of what this project is all about, he came. And I think it was, in some ways, the difficulties of the past season was good, because it was a test to see whether he's here for the right reasons or not.
Yeah, whether he's serious.
And what he has said is, I want to play in a good team. I want to win. I want to compete. I'm not happy, to end the way that it's ended. So I'm going to stay here. I'm going to tough it out. And we're going to. And he's back now running around like a little kid.
Here's a question, Michael. What's your benchmark for success? I'm a big football fan, and Al Hilal won the league last year by 14 points.
Yes.
I look at Al Hilal's starting 11, and honestly, it would not look out of place in the Champions League. João Cancelo, Koulibaly. You've got Lodi at left back now. Ruben Neves, Mitrovic through
killing
the middle.
it like he's Haaland.
Killing it like he's Haaland.
Bono.
Like Bono, Milinkovic, Savic, I'm a huge fan of.
Yeah.
Neymar's not kicked a ball yet. He's got to come in. Malcolm, Leonardo from Benfica. The Al Hilal starting 11, and in my opinion, there's a gap to the rest in truth, Michael. Is that a worry? Do you guys see that as a badge of honour? The rest have got to catch up? Or is that a worry for the success of this league in the short term?
That is an absolutely wonderful question, because it covers so many things, and it goes completely at the heart of the project that we have in place. Winning at this moment, winning titles is important, but it's just it's for pride. Because unlike in Europe, now in England or somewhere, you win those titles and they bring incredible financial resources back to you, or create opportunities for further financial. That's not the case here. We will get there. So winning now is for pride, and the measure for success for us ultimately in the very short run is the competitiveness of the league. And that competitiveness is going to come, with the clubs, the clubs in the middle, the big belly or engine of a league are those clubs from 4 to 12 that are ready to compete, that can beat anyone at any time. Now, I think sometimes when a club reaches that level where they look, for lack of, just the cliche, unbeatable, untouchable. Maybe it's not just the players. Maybe it's the coach. Maybe it's the environment. I think you played for a certain Jose Mourinho at a certain period where, it looked like, you'll never lose a game. You have Manchester City going through that. You have the Arsenal thing, and sometimes it's just that somebody have done a really, really good job.
Good job,
Maybe it's the owner, maybe it's the coach.
Maybe it's it all.
Maybe it's all together. And I think Hilal are in that mode now, where they seem to know what they're doing. But I'm confident that they will get challenged, and I want them to get challenged because it's good for our league. So I think even Damak gave them a hell of a game, recently, the second game of the season. We're still out of place.
Okay.
But I think the likes of Nasser with Pioli, and Etihad with the way that is rebuilt now.
Yeah.
It just seems that once they find their rhythm, what you see in the last game is a difference.
So
in
Cristiano's not phoning you, Michael, saying, Michael, I need more players at Al Nassr.
No, that's what I was going to say. So that means more spending then. That means you have to bring in more players. You have to spend more to bring in more players to kind of balance the other teams that are not on that level as Al Hilal right now.
Yeah.
Because those teams, they will be crying for better players, quality players. So that still means you guys still will keep spending.
Well, I mean, that's the basis for the question that you asked earlier about squad mapping. Maybe the squad mapping reveals that it's not players, that there's not more players that are needed. That you need other things. I mean, I think with the case of Nassr, for example, everybody always wants, new players, more players.
Yeah.
But, they have Bento today, they have Simaken, they have Laporte who just won the Euro. They have Mane, Ronaldo, they have Brozovic. One of my favorite players. I think last year was probably the player of the season, in my opinion. And Talisca, who was one of those young ones that I missed. I wanted to bring back,
really?
back then, and then he went to Benfica.
Yeah, he was at Besiktas.
Yes, he went to Benfica first. And but it's a really it's not a bad squad. Right, something is missing, and maybe it's another player, maybe it's another couple of players, or maybe it's something within the management structure that needs to change. I don't know, but they are because the clubs are independent in some level.
That's important.
They are thinking and they are looking, and whatever it is that they think they need, then we're going to help them. To get.
So not to say that you guys will be biased. Now let's not put it that way. How is that going to look that Cristiano Ronaldo moved to Saudi Arabia, played in the Saudi league, and didn't get to win the Saudi league, and then retired from football? Is that something you guys are looking at and thinking,
we need him to win?
We need him to win. We need him to win a trophy here. Oh, that's just. Knowing him, he's a winner. He wants to win.
Yeah.
He loves winning.
Yes.
And I know that he's been here, 2 seasons now, and he hasn't won the league. He will be itching. He will be crying for it. So is that something that the league is thinking?
We need him to win.
We need him to win.
Yeah.
Well, I think knowing him, the last thing he wants is for us
to give him.
To give it to him, or to construct something that makes it easy for him, to win. And I think that wouldn't be right.
Right.
It is possible that if you take all those players at Nassr and you put them in another team, and that team wins, and everybody will say, why don't you have all these players with Nassr so they can win? Like I said, I don't know. You and I went through this. Unless you're in the building and you're watching every day and you're working every day and you're looking at all the analytical information that is coming out, whether it's from scouting, from training methodology, you don't know what is holding a club back from winning.
Yeah.
Because there's a tiny, not a tiny club. I don't want to do this because it's one of my favorite clubs, Taiwan. That is just performing brilliantly. They don't cry, they don't whine. They have no extraordinary budget. There's no big name in their squad. They lost their coach who took them to 4th place to Neom. They got another coach and they're up there. They're playing, brilliant football. And, when you go to visit them, the environment says that, says this is a stable football club. When you come to Chelsea in that era where you guys were just, match winners. Just absolutely. When you come there, people used to just come to visit, to feel the
winning mentality.
Exactly. The winning
Smell
mentality, the air, of competitiveness and exceptionalism. People come to feel that in Cobham. We're very proud of that. People just walk in, they say, wow, they watch training sessions. You mentioned Carlo Ancelotti.
The competitiveness,
You watch training sessions and people go,
I'm jealous of that, Michael.
Absolutely.
That you got to watch that.
No. We were in that Ancelotti's first season. We were, I think it was Baltimore. We were about to play AC Milan in the first. I really remember that.
In the US.
And we've trained a little bit in Cobham. And he was just really proud of it. So I think it was best 25 minutes of football against AC Milan. We started when he played his first tactical system. And we come in at halftime. And he said to me, "We're going to win the league." He was so happy to be in training. He would look at these guys and he would go, John Obi will walk by and he would go, and Balak will walk by. He said, and he said, "We have a problem, to choose this team." And it was a joy. But there is something in the environment that tells you why a team is at the top. And it's not always about the players that you recruited or signed or that you can sign.
You're right to say it's not about the players that you recruit, but, and John and I discussed this, the modern day fan is changing.
Yes.
Michael, you're aware of this. Fandom has changed.
Yes.
It's not necessarily a club nowadays.
Yes.
They follow players, the celebrity.
Yes.
Cristiano Ronaldo has fans who have supported Sporting Lisbon, Manchester United, Real Madrid, Juventus, back to Manchester United and now here in Saudi Arabia. Does that put pressure on you? It's not a new league. I've been out in this region for a long enough time to know there's rich footballing heritage and history in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, but to the outside world, it's a new league. For you to continue to grow, is there pressure on you to continue to bring the big names in who bring the fandom with them?
Yes, there is pressure to bring quality players, to balance out.
Who add the mass.
Yes, just to bring quality players that are valuable. Now, if quality players that the clubs want turns out to be a superstar and that they can afford, it's important.
You have to sign it.
Then it's great. Then we're happy to go for it. But ultimately, you want to be. I think I don't feel any pressure because I'm in this wonderful position where I have to support 21 teams. And I say 21 because I support the 3 teams that are relegated. Still remains teams that I have to look after. In fact, the very first few games that I want to go to will be to see those guys, see how they're doing. Because they were one of us. You speak to them, you talk to them during the season, you want them to do well. But there's always 3 that won't
go down,
will go down. And you have to not abandon them.
Yeah.
So my job is to love all of these teams and to love them when they're doing things right and to absolutely show my frustration when they're not doing things right.
I shudder to think.
That's the job that I have.
Talk about bringing players in. I must ask this. Obviously, I think during the transfer window, everybody was speculation everywhere. How close were you? Were you guys ever close of signing Victor Osimhen?
I think maybe in some clubs' mind and planning, they thought they were close. What being close means is different for me than it is for the clubs. Because for me, it's close when the paperwork
it's
come through, my desk and requires my evaluation and signature. Until that happens, then it's not close. And that didn't happen.
You didn't see any paperwork?
No. But there were obviously clear interest by who wouldn't want Victor Osimhen?
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, all things being equal, you're building a team. I thought my former club will get him because he's a terrific striker.
I tried my best.
Yeah.
I had this image, Michael, of John on the phone to him in the morning, you on the phone to him in the afternoon, John on the phone to him, and the two of you battling a tug of war. But the reality was...
To be honest, my conversation with him, was my conversation because, not disrespect to the Saudi Pro League, which, I watch the games, I enjoy the games, I love the games, and I think you're building something special here. But my conversation, obviously, when I was spoken to about, how can I help to get Victor Osimhen to the football club? As being a Chelsea, true and true, I have to try. And knowing that, I was competing probably with you. You saying come to Saudi, I'm like, no, come to Chelsea. At the end of the day, it's nice for you to clear the air now to know that, you didn't actually get a paperwork to that shows that Victor was close to.
Yeah, I think maybe
here.
people acted late, or the process was, because there are initial negotiations and conversations that need to take place. And when the bigger the player is, the longer and more complicated these conversations happen, because there are just so many, the selling club, the parent club wants to do really well with the deal. The buying club wants to buy within budget. In between, there are negotiations and lawyers come in, agents, and so it takes. My point isn't that maybe those conversations were taking place. I wasn't part of it, but it never came to the stage where they say, Michael, you need to, sign off on this.
BetWinner is your reliable partner in the world of sport betting.
BetWinner.
Well, what about Michael, Kylian Mbappé? There was a lot of speculation that Saudi Arabia were genuine interested in bringing Kylian here. I'm sure, again, it didn't go into the minutiae, the detail of it, but do you know, was there a genuine interest? If Kylian had said, I want to move to Saudi Arabia, could that deal have been done?
So I think one of the things that you just said there that is a problem for us is the connotation. They say Saudi Arabia wants this player. Who is Saudi Arabia? What's Saudi Arabia? Is it the Ministry of Sports?
Yes.
Is it a rich individual? Is it the president of a club?
Okay.
Is it Michael? Is it, So who, when
is
you
it
say
the fans?
Saudi Arabia? So somebody goes and have a conversation. We have people going and meeting clubs or players and say, I can get you to Saudi Arabia.
Right, but the story is that it's like there is like kind of a fund.
Yeah.
That funds this player. So it's not. So it comes from
not.
the individual clubs.
So let me clarify something. We are a mixture of the MLS and European football. So we have some centralized control in the evaluation of the technical and financial capabilities of the club that is trying to sign the player.
Okay.
But the clubs have the independence to decide who they're interested in.
Okay.
We need to see the squad mapping just gives us an opportunity to make sure that that decision is transparent. That they don't say, we need a left back, and then suddenly they sign a right back where they have already 2 right backs. Then we know that something is not
right.
It's not right.
Okay.
But ultimately they have the independence. So if a club comes together and check their balance book and say, we have the money to sign Kylian, they can go and talk to Kylian. But ultimately, at some point, we have to know that they're speaking to Kylian.
Okay.
Now, there might be a situation where there is information that a certain player wants to come of a certain pedigree, and we are asked to investigate that and see whether that is possible. And then we'll see, then also we have to see whether there is an interest from a club for that player. So Lionel Messi is available. Hands up, who wants Lionel Messi?
Oh, all right. Okay, so that works like that. So then you guys then take control of everything and then see if you can get Lionel Messi, and then you have to place him in one of these teams.
No, we have to know what team wants him.
Yeah,
wants him.
There has to be
an agent could say, Michael, Lionel is serious about moving to the kingdom.
Yes.
Okay. You then approach the clubs. Who wants Lionel? And I would imagine everyone's putting their hands up at that point.
Yeah.
And then when that becomes the case, who gets authority then? If every club said to you, again, let's use the example, Mohamed Salah, Muslim star, a lot of Muslim stars here, of course, it's an Islamic country. Mo Salah becomes available. Every team in the Saudi Pro League says to you, Michael, we want Mo Salah. How does it then? Do the clubs then negotiate directly with Mo's agent to give him the best contract? Or at what point do you guys enter this to say, no, Al Hilal, you're too good. Al Nasser, you're too good. We're looking at Al Ahly and maybe Al Ittihad.
Well, in very simplistic terms, there is a first come, first serve process where a club have made. There is a process that we have that is very clear, where a club knows that they have the funds, they have the mechanics to be able to sign a player like Mo Salah, and they put that into motion. So they have to petition, and if they're the first ones to petition and they show their interest, we allow them to have the first crack at it.
Right.
But we also have to see when they petition that it's not just, trying to block other clubs from having a chance, to negotiate with the player. That they actually do genuinely do have the resources and do have, the need and all of that to do.
Right.
So you can't just say everybody, of course.
Yeah, write down a long list and put them in. We want Messi.
And I think that's also the thing with Osimhen. So maybe you get 7 clubs or 18 clubs that want him, but actually there are only 2 clubs that are probably in a position financially to be able to sign him.
Wow.
Because don't forget, there is a budget. And a lot of these clubs have spent their budget.
Exactly. I was going to come to that. Yeah. So when you talk about that, is there ever a fear whereby you look at it and think, is there going to be a time whereby these players, I'm not saying it might happen, that Ronaldo will turn around one day and he looks at his bank account and his salary didn't come in at the end of the month. Is that something, because obviously we've seen that happen, before at, let's say, is it Turkey or
China.
And then China. Is that something that you think in here, that's never going to happen?
That is one of the first things that that was put in place even before I came in. So I think you've heard about the so-called PACE program, which is Player Acquisition Center of Excellence.
Yes.
Okay.
And what the PACE program was put in to do is to protect, is to facilitate the signing of foreign international players and to protect, their contracts. Their contracts while they're here. Okay. And up until now, I don't think any of them have had. We have 100% record of making sure that that's not a worry. And the reason for that is because there is a clear budget, and that's what I'm saying to you. That so when a club comes and say we want to sign X player and they don't have the budget, because we want to make sure that when you sign the player, you can actually pay the player.
Exactly. You look through the books to see.
You look through the books and say, no,
you don't have the money.
You don't have the money.
Yeah.
We appreciate that you're interested in the player. If you want the player, then make a move, do some things. Sell another player.
Yeah.
Revise your squad, reduce costs. Do something. Find increase the attendance to your games. Get commercial, revenue. Find other ways, and then you can sign the player. But from our budget that you have, you're not able to sign this player.
You look at all the players you've brought in, Michael, and again, part of the thing that John and I spoke about as well, Ronaldo's great, of course he is. He's the most followed man on social media. But then the Ruben Neves of this world, the Sergei Milinkovic-Savic, you're buying these boys at the peak of their powers. They're coming when they're in their pomp. Look at all the boys that you've brought in. There's only one that's done a quick U-turn. Jordan Henderson. I've got to ask about him. The kind of negativity, the connotations around the fact that he came here, he quickly didn't like it, didn't settle and moved. Did that harm the league in any way, shape or form? And again, what did you learn from Jordan's experience per se?
I think the Jordan experience, contrary to what the negative connotation attached to it, is actually a good thing. Because it emphasizes what we kept saying, which is nobody is going to be forced to stay here.
It's not like you're trapped.
It's not a trap.
That's a good way to look at it.
So we signed 97 players, and one didn't settle. But then I just want to make that point. Now the second point on a personal level is that Jordan, it was one of the most loved people here. It was just an absolute professional, a wonderful guy, and he helped change. Some of the professional hindrances that were happening at his club and other clubs, because he stepped up as you should when that's why they're all here, is to express their knowledge, and he did very openly to say we can do better, and he forced everybody to do better. I think without trying to put words in his mouth or reveal something that he would be in a better position. That it was nothing to do, with the kingdom. He said it too, and it's very true, because we had really hit it. I was very sad to say, because I've come to like him. because he was very upfront and he was very motivated, and he wanted to do well. But there were things that, sometimes we get to a stage in our career where there's so many things happening outside of our main
family,
kids.
family, national team, campaign activities against you. There's so many things happening, and I just think that he felt, given the age of his kids, given what he has done, where he had reached in his career, that the safe bet for him to remain fulfilled would be to go back to Europe.
Yeah.
And this was something that I personally understood, that we understood here, and nobody at any level of authority here stood in his way.
Yeah. Amazing. So, talk about a player. There's one player that we all know that is going to be out of contract in the summer.
I'm listening.
Oh, yes.
I'm listening.
What are the chances that Mo Salah comes to Saudi Premier League next
Come
season?
on.
I think it depends on Mo. I think the stories that
because he was so close
that one of
coming
our teams
last year.
went after him was true. It is true.
Okay.
That there was an interest. But just like the whole Victor Osimhen thing, it also hinges around. It's okay for me to have an interest in signing more, but also his club have to have an interest in letting him go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if those two things don't align, then you don't have a deal.
And was that what it was? Sorry to interrupt. Is that what it was, Michael? Fundamentally, Liverpool didn't want to sell.
I think it was, fundamentally, it was Liverpool doesn't want to sell, and at what price are we willing to buy?
Right.
We also don't want to buy at a
ridiculous amount.
amount. So I think ultimately it came down to just, and also the third party, which is the most important part, is the player ready to come. I didn't feel that the player was ready to come.
Okay.
Because he felt like he had unfinished business.
Fair.
And also, just like very few players did it. John Boy luckily was one of those that you have to leave the club in the right way.
Yeah.
When you're at that level and you've done some things, it's important to leave the club in the right way. And being one of my boys also, I was never going to put any pressure on him to, I never even spoke to him at that period. It was not necessary to.
But is that one you're going to revisit? Do you reckon there will be an interest this summer again?
Well, I don't run any of I don't manage any of the clubs.
The clubs, yeah.
So if any of the clubs decide that they're interested,
they'll pick up the phone.
It's a top player, top players. The same thing with Kevin De Bruyne. These are absolutely.
Do you think now that's that Liverpool looking back at it? Do you think that was a lot of money missed by Liverpool? That was a mistake of not selling him even at that time, probably, I don't know, for 80, 90, 100 million that was talked about then. Because now his contract ends in the summer, he's going to come here for free. And then all that money is going to... Do you think that's something...
Only Liverpool knows that. They might also look at it and go, his presence, got us into Champions League, protected, some new players that we signed. There are other values that they can throw on top of the fact that he didn't move. But also, again, I repeat, don't forget, Mo Salah, the decision maker. The player ultimately decides, I'm ready to go, I'm not ready to go. And I think he was, maybe he finds himself in a situation where he's never going to push, to vacate his contract just so he can go and play somewhere else. But I think,
but he's definitely one player that the fans will love to have. He's Egyptian, he's Muslim, moving here in Saudi Arabia. The fans will absolutely love.
How much is Mo paying you, John Boy? How much is Mo paying you? I know that you guys were friends, and you took him in when he came to Chelsea.
Exactly.
You took him in.
I really took him in when I say that. I did take him in.
Yeah. You kept that quiet.
Yeah, no. Salah.
Did you drive him into the Cobb?
No. But Salah. We were very close at some point.
Yes. No, because I think John understands when you come into that machine
the club,
that is Chelsea.
Yeah.
And he was coming from Basel. So this
That's
this was not coming from when he had gone to Fiorentina and Rome. He was coming from Basel. It's a big change to come into that, that machine. Every training session was just
nightmare. Yeah.
It's just an absolute nightmare. It's so athletic, so intense, fast. The only time that I try to play Rondo with them in the middle, and it was just
how was that, Michael?
I'm suffering the humiliation up on. So they will pass the ball to me, and John Boy they will pass it very slowly,
so that you guys.
And these guys will they will go from there. It's like rockets shot out. It was unbelievable. They just go boom, and I forget how really strong and fast and intense and big they are. And suddenly there's this massive thing in your face.
But you must take great pride. We've talked about it. It was with Jose, and we spoke about these two fellas with JT as well. Mo Salah and Kevin De Bruyne. They didn't work out at Chelsea.
Yes.
But the club identified the talent within them. You look at them now, and I say this, and I will stick to this. On their day, they are the top two players in the Premier League.
Yep.
That must be a real source of pride.
No, I think the work that the team did, and he mentioned it, Marina, and it's everybody involved in it. The head of recruitment and the guys that eventually took over, the loan program to make sure that it worked was amazing. But what happened at Chelsea, and you give Jose Mourinho a lot of credit, is that the base of the squad that he built with Peter Kenyon was really, really strong. And what I did was to, build
on that. Yeah.
On that. So we keep changing. But every new player that came in learned the habits, the professional habits that the guys left behind.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
And so it was easy. And I think the biggest example of that was Aspilicueta, who completely became a really Chelsea player.
Yeah.
Who came in not as talented as all the other ones.
We thought, who's this guy?
Exactly. But he watched the way that John and somebody is fighting in midfield, the way that JT trains. He watches the way that these guys do their pre-game stretches.
Yeah.
And his pre-game warm-up was 45 minutes, was another game.
Yeah.
And we were going, you need to calm down, and he ended up becoming captain. So the same thing with Ramirez, who also came and had to learn and became an absolute Chelsea tiger. Also next to John Boy, and Oscar, who came. So there were a few quality players that were able to corner at that time.
Quickly bought into the Chelsea DNA, right?
The reason that it worked is because these guys were there. They were always there.
Yeah.
There's always these 4, 5, 7, 9 players who knew how to win.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something, talk about obviously the club today, that's something that is missing right now, because that there is no that player, I don't know, but I'm not in the dressing room right now. Do you think that's something that we're lacking right now in the football club in terms of leadership, in terms of players? You remember how it used to be? John Terry, in the second half, grab you around the neck and wake up, you know what I mean? Do you think that's something that you think we're missing right now in the football club? Because the leadership is I think when I watch the games, it's not there, because I don't see players screaming at each other saying, come on, wake up, let's go. But it's starting to gel a little bit also when you look at it. But just talk about the leadership.
Yeah. Well, I think normally I try not to delve into this things, just like you said, because you're not there, you don't know, what's going on and what the plans are. But I can speak from experience to say continuity is important.
It's important.
One of the reasons that academy players coming through and going into the first team is good is because they are the ones that bring and sustain the culture of the club. They know, because from the age of 7, 12, whenever it is, they understand what the fans want. They understand the habits, expectations of the fans. And so when they come to the first team, they bring that in. Yeah. So when you come in at the age where you come in, John Boy, with Carlo, with Drogba, and you build this team of winning. So you know what the culture is. You know when the owner shows up, what it means. You know when the coach walks out, what it means. You know when certain things happen. So the new players that come in, they're watching.
Yeah.
I won't mention some names. I remember some players that will come and they will go into the huddle and they will hear your captain, and you can see the sheer terror.
Terrified.
They cannot believe that this is still a football match that we're going to play. Like, what is this? And it takes a while. But then you have the other, the other players. Well, I think there was only one player, Eden Hazard, who just had zero.
Yeah, I don't care.
It was a laugh. It was just absolute wonderful. And these guys want to protect him because the level of quality that he had was just exceptional. And they were all my favorites, but one of my all-time favorites because he knows how to drive me crazy. He has bad games, and I kind of go, Eden, you're killing me. And he would say, no, you look sad. Yes, because you're killing me. And one day I said to him, Eden, if I had your talent, and he just stopped and said, but you don't have my talent. and he broke down laughing, and all the players are jumping all over him. And I said, okay. But then he comes back and he said, don't worry. Next week,
I've got you.
Don't worry, it will be. And then he produces.
Exactly.
I mean, Ed, and I get from listening to you that he was one that really makes you proud, Michael. You've already touched on Talisca, and I would imagine the Chelsea scouts were all over the globe. Who was the one that got away? Who's the one that for a while after you would wake up in a cold sweat and think, oh, if only we landed him? Was there one that stands out?
Yes. Yeah. Sergio Aguero.
Ooh.
Aguero.
Sergio.
Did you come close? Or
we came very, very close.
What?
We came very close. And I think that was the one also that, Sergio was, and he was 20.
Yeah.
And the idea was to have him with Didier Drogba and to have him phase Didier out, gradually. So that, because we anticipated Didier will go to 35, 36.
Yeah.
But just to have, and I think Mr. Ancelotti, wanted that also, had a plan. And I'm not going to go into the details of why it didn't happen.
Put something to bed for me. This man tells me that he was a proper number 10 until Jose grabbed him and said, no, we're playing you as a 4 or a 6. Was he a good number 10?
Oh, yes. So in the under-21 tournament in Holland, I think he was ranked higher than Messi. Yeah.
He scored the 2 goals in the finals. That's when he then won the...
Yeah, that's the one, the picture of you looking all glum.
Talk of the... I remember seeing him, one of my ex-teammates were coaching him. I go in, who is this kid? He was just an absolute
6'3" and a monster.
Great, but it just shows you what it takes to be a top-level professional.
Yeah.
You have to be able to adapt. You have to play to instruction, tactical instruction, and you have to make sacrifices. So
that's the word there. Yeah.
Once he realized that this is the only way to survive in this club, and he wanted to be in the club, he made the sacrifices because he's a proper number 10.
Yeah.
And he lost the ability to be a number 10 because now he's there chasing all the number 10.
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, when you see the fans talk about it sometimes, and within you how much you had to sacrifice just for the team, to make sure that we have a team. We're not individual, players, that we have an actual team. For me at that time as a creative player to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to sacrifice because obviously Mikel was leaving and the club needed somebody to replace Claude. And I was the guy. So I had to obviously sacrifice all the creativeness, all the limelight, and to say, okay, you know what? This is the club I want to be. This is where I want to be. Obviously, the fight with Manchester United and Chelsea, but I've chose to come to this club. So I need to sacrifice to be here. And I did sacrifice.
Absolutely.
And I forgot about all that. And the limelight went to Frank and Didier, every weekend. But they know what we were giving to the football club.
Absolutely. But I think also, and this is something that I didn't touch on, I think you and of course your sidekick Solomon, the most underrated players at Chelsea, the most underrated players, because if you see his performance in the Champions League final, against Bayern, and some of the games that he controlled for us. So I was head of opposition scouting, and I watch these games over and over, and I watch them in silence, and you can see the performance of players and what they're doing, and his technique, his ability to protect the ball, distribution after win, the most underrated players. But when you're playing, with players, someone is scoring 20 goals from midfield, you have a striker scoring 32, looks unstoppable.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have a centre back and you have a left back who's running up and down. It's very difficult to get some attention.
Yeah.
It's true.
The most underrated player. The same thing with Solomon. I remember that coaches sometimes will say, we need Solomon to win this game.
I told you that, didn't I? The last time we spoke, you said, who was the player you think that didn't? I said Solomon.
You did. You said Solomon.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's why I started off by saying what I said and praising them, because I know from my job and from having the privilege of being there, trainings, matches, and seeing them, that they were incredibly underrated.
BetWinner is your reliable partner in the world of sport betting.
BetWinner.
Well, I'm a Manchester United fan, Michael, so I know Fergie would have played this man at number 10 and he would have won 7 or 8 league titles. Okay, I've got to ask, and last couple from us, because I know we've kept an awful lot of your time, and we thank you again for opening your doors to us. I've got to ask about, you're an administrator, you're a man that clearly knows the game. Chelsea's transfer strategy now, 8-9-year contracts, players coming in, players going off to Strasbourg. I know there's a link there in the ownership. These big long contracts, the financial fair play rulings. Is there sense to this madness? That the perception is it's madness, but is there method?
Well, I hope so. I hope so. And I have said all along, I give the benefit of doubt. As a fan, which I am now, and something that John, is
He's
trying
always a blue,
to get Osimhen to go to his club. And this is the beauty, and this is what we want to create here.
Yeah,
is this sense that you have an ownership of your club. You're talking about going on, instead of going to social media and crying about who did, go and
do something
and
about
learn
it.
and put responsibility and ask the ones that are there to do better and support them to do better. Anyway, we'll get to that. But as a fan, I'm looking, all I care about is that we are competitive on the pitch. And for some time now, we haven't. We've slipped from that lofty standard standard that we had for a very, very long time. And that's worrying. It's not my strategy. It's not one that I would have,
adopted.
These are, very smart people.
So you think that's definitely will not be something that you, Roman, Marina, will sit down and say, this is the way we want to go?
No, but there are other ways. There were things that we were doing that people said. I remember when we started with the loan program, and everybody goes, "This is crazy." And what does this mean? Is player hoarding, and then it turns out that it's not player hoarding, and there was just some idea to it. But also at the beginning of that project, it wasn't quite successful as we had planned it. And then you had to figure out, okay, the reason this didn't work is because of this, and then you change it, and that didn't work because of that, and you change it. And then we got to, but the core idea of understanding, so this is what was behind the loan program, understanding that players cannot go from that academy playing 18 games a season or 20 games a season over 3 years, 4 years, and jump into that first team on that fence and play with these guys who are playing 60, 65 games a season, absolute thoroughbreds.
Yeah.
It's impossible to do that. And that there's a gap that needed to be bridged. And they needed to go out and play And then we understand the importance of game minutes. So we wanted them to go out and play 35, 40 games and get the minutes that are required to grow. So the first success was Andreas Christensen, who went to Borussia Mönchengladbach.
That's right.
And 2 seasons, over 3,500 minutes a season. And then he comes back and is ready to compete in the first team. And so that the idea was very clear. The implementation of the idea in the beginning seemed a little bit all over the place. But as soon as we got it under control with the right staffing, then it went smoothly. So I'm hoping that this is the case, with this particular initiative or whatever it is. But right now,
hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed we can see it. I'm sure Paul will see this. Michael, don't worry. I've got this all under control. So I've got a couple of questions here. I just put them in one. We've talked a lot about the male football. What is there a strategy, man, in terms of female football, in Saudi Arabia? Is that something you also want to help to build, to bring it out there? And also the academy, the youth teams, the academies. Is there something also you guys is there a budget for that to make sure that you grow the academy football here, to make sure that one day you will have
World Cup winners,
Ronaldo, and Messi that's going to come out from from the academies?
Yeah, very very good questions. I think the clear answer to that is that whatever we're doing with the men's is working in parallel. For women football development, and there is an interest also to improve the quality of performance of live of professionalism of our female players. So that's whether, and that includes also development of our academies and putting resources in to make sure that that this happens, that the players of tomorrow, boys and girls, are given the opportunity to come through the right way. But yes, absolutely, there is huge interest and people are.
Is it best in class as well, Michael? Obviously, the Cristiano Ronaldos are at the top of the pyramid, down at the grassroots level, and this will sound a weird jump. I remember Iceland put in the process of UEFA Pro licensed coaches at the high school, at the grassroots level, to ensure that the kids were getting the very, very best in tuition and coaching. Is that a similar model here? You want to entice the very best youth coaches to the kingdom?
Yes. I think the only thing that you can say is a slight drawback is that we're in a hurry. And we're in a hurry, and there's so many projects and there's so many aspects of the project that needs attention, needs immediate attention. So, 1 minute you're just trying to make sure that the recruitment process, for the league went well. But then now you have to worry about welfare and player care, making sure that when those players come in, they're properly taken care of. And then where are they training? What about infrastructure, facilities? And then, the women's team, to be, I'm really impressed with the resources that have been put in place and the people that have been brought in to try to attack all of these projects. But
you can't do it on your own.
But it would take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
But the answer to your question is yes, absolutely. You can't ignore these aspects of.
The reason why I asked that though is because obviously I've got 2 daughters, so just keep in mind one day they're gonna you need to sign them for 100 million and things like that. Last question.
Of course, we'll be very happy.
Maresca, do you think he's the man to bring us back to glory, to the top where you think Chelsea Football Club should be?
Well, I know the guy that he worked with really well. Pep is a friend of mine, and he rates him. I think so far so good. He seems to be in control. But as you know, John, we find out when real crises
Exactly. Yeah.
you know, comes in, and that's when we're able to see, you know, you guys used to come and bug me, you know, whenever things start going, and
Knock on the door.
you say, you know, we will see.
Yeah.
You know, we'll see what this person is made of, because you know that it's going to happen.
It will happen,
You know, we had coaches that come in and won 9 games in a row, and everybody on the outside going, you know, and the guys on this side go, you know, the training methodology is not going to work here. We are sure that it's not going to work, and I'm saying to them, no, it don't worry, you guys stay away. It would work, but they know.
The players know.
Yeah, so we have to see, you know, from the outside looking in this very short period, he looks completely under control.
Him, then? You like him?
Yes,
Yeah.
I like what I'm seeing, but you know, I've learned my lesson not to jump to conclusion. I have to wait until crisis comes, and then we'll see.
And who do you think is going to win the league?
Oh, good one. Very good one.
I can't look beyond City.
Even with Rodri's injury.
Yes.
Wow.
Really?
Still backing them, Michael.
Yeah.
John and I, massive Rodri fans.
Yeah,
so
massive.
Yeah, but I am a big Rodri
Pep,
fan.
and Pep's the master.
I'm a big Rodri fan. I because I think it's about continuity. It's about mentality, belief, and it's also in a game now where you have all these exceptional coaches. It's about the one that can, on a given night, you know, come up with that one subtle
moment.
tactical change.
And you know why as well, Michael, they're going to win it? Because they've got the Mitrovic of the Premier League up front. If Haaland of Saudi is Alexander Mitrovic, it's the Mitrovic of the Premier League. I'm going to finish with the last one, and I want to circle it back to you, Michael.
Yeah.
You've achieved an awful lot in your career, and congratulations on what has been an incredible career thus far. What's been your career highlight? Of all that you've achieved, what's the one achievement that stands out above all others so far in your career?
Oh wow, that's one that I wasn't
Expecting.
that I wasn't expecting. I think the best one comes with the best luck. And winning the 2012 Champions League, where we started, and where we were, you know, right
Napoli.
after. I think the owner, and dare I say myself and the other members, it was our toughest, but you know, I think most astute management decisions. You know, forced to retain Di Matteo and support him with Steve Holland and Eddie Newton, and to stay with him and to understand that, you know, things will, you know, the football will be different, but also the recognition that we still had, you know, the elements in the club in terms of players that are really, really crucial, and that they can carry us, you know, through that season, and then we'll make the necessary changes that we needed to make, you know, that was necessary. You know, we can go crazy, you know, change of coach, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
I think it was a decision that wasn't easy to make unless you're making it with the best owner in football. And he says, this makes sense. This is what we're going to do. We're going to deal with the fallout. And we're going to make sure that this works. And then we got lucky. We you know, lucky in the sense that, yes, you know, you have years where we should have, you know, we should have battered, you know, Barcelona in 2009. We lost, and then we beat them when they probably could have won. And then these guys, you know, produce absolute magic in Munich. Absolute magic.
What you've said is something you've said, that there was a feeling that this is our last hurrah.
Yeah.
And you've just said it, Michael. There was a feeling that we're going to back these guys, and then we'll bring in Hazard, we'll bring in a new coach.
Yes.
The old Chelsea will maybe change.
Yes.
So you felt that, John, this is our last chance.
Yeah.
Change was coming.
Yeah.
And
It's
they all said that to me when the draw came out and we had Barcelona. And I was sitting in the canteen, and I don't know, my hand went to my head. And Didier Drogba, they come and said, why are you afraid? Don't worry, we'll beat them. don't worry. And they were just, they believed.
Yeah.
And in Munich, we're going, and we keep having injuries, and there's one injury after another, and after
suspension.
Another. And we're thinking, this is not happening. But we had, I forgot Ivanovic. We had just absolute, monsters in terms of players and personality. And these guys, you look in their eyes, and they believed they were going to win. And I was struggling to believe. Because of all the injuries, because of where we started. But they were absolutely sure. And to see that trophy come back to Stamford Bridge, I just felt very, very proud to be a part of it. A small part of it, albeit, but very, very proud.
Well, there's going to be loads of trophies coming your way in the Saudi Pro League. Congratulations on the remit. It's an exciting one. Congratulations on what you've done, Michael, but it's an exciting future for you as well. John and I will be watching very closely. And thank you so much for popping on the podcast.
John won't be watching for too long. I think
he's going to be over
he's going to be over playing or doing something. But no, thank you guys. And a big shout out to what you're doing.
Thank you.
I think I'm very, very proud of John as a player, and then this reconversion to I didn't see it coming, but I understand this is the podcast. One of my guys from media came to me and said, "I hear you're doing the podcast."
Yes.
So congratulations on
Thank
it.
you. Thank you.
Well done. Yeah.
Thank you.
BetWinner is your reliable partner in the world of sports betting.
Do you have to be a big brother, John, in order to call you John Boy? Can I start? Are we friends enough now that I can start calling you that?
Well, that's what Michael calls me, John Boy. Really,
Love it.
He loves calling me that.
What a guy! Genuinely, John. You did tell me on the flight out to Riyadh.
Yeah.
Listen, Chris, Michael's a lovely man.
Lovely man,
Lovely man, and very candid. I was surprised at how candid he was with us. I mean, you could have been teammates with Sergio Aguero, for goodness sake.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the ins and outs and everything, things that I didn't know about. All been, everyone who watches the podcast, can hear and see what Michael has just said there. Some players that I would have been teammates with.
Bernardo Silva,
exactly. Sergio Aguero. Imagine those players came to Chelsea Football Club.
I mean, great.
But no, this was the ambition of the club back then, and ambition of Michael. He wanted to get the best players into the football club. For some reason, that didn't happen. And of course, he just said it there. That was one of his biggest regrets.
And big, Victor Osimhen and Saudi.
Yeah. Victor Osimhen and Saudi.
That wasn't as close as what people made out.
That wasn't as close as people thought it was. I mean, first-hand knowledge, isn't it? It's
Smoking
always
mirrors,
good,
John.
exactly, to have a first-hand knowledge of how things happen. And it's so amazing to hear from Michael that, that wasn't close. We all thought it was so close, but it wasn't. It wasn't. There was nothing on Michael's desk. As far as he was concerned, there was nothing on his desk. Obviously, he's the one that signs everything off, but there was nothing there. So it wasn't as close.
Your question about Mo Salah was excellent. Honestly speaking, having listened and looked him in the eye, is Mo Salah destined for Saudi one day, do you think, John?
Oh, definitely. I think it's written on the wall.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's written in the stars that one day Mohamed Salah is going to Saudi Arabia. Saudi football is not complete without Mohamed Salah. He's Egyptian,
Muslim.
He's Muslim.
Yeah.
He will be the icing on the cake. I think they will pay him God knows what to get him, to Saudi football. And he will be massive, absolutely massive for Saudi, for Saudi Pro League. And for Michael, I think that's probably one of his targets.
The World Cup, of course, we expect, it's an open secret, 2034, Saudi will win the right to host the FIFA World Cup.
And the spending keeps going until
the spending keeps going. And we heard it there from not just on the top names, the youth level. The
youth level,
the
women's game
is a big focus as well. Saudi, whether people out there like it or not, it's on the footballing map and it's only going one way. This isn't going to be a China. This isn't going to fizzle out.
No.
They are here to stay.
They're here to stay. It's only going up. Yeah. It's only going up. It's amazing to see that, how much they're willing to improve. Yes, we've just headed there. Not just the men's football, not just the big stars, not just the big names. It's how do we grow the women's football? How do we make sure the women's football grows? How do we make sure the academies, the youth football? How does the Saudi make sure that in the next, 10 years or 15 years, there's another Lionel Messi, there's another Cristiano Ronaldo coming out of, from the youth level. And that's something that I know Michael is always very, very hands-on. He's always passionate about making sure that, how do I change the whole perception of everything? And he's on the cusp of doing that. And like you said, Saudi football will not stop spending. Of course, they're going to win the 2034 World Cup. And they will keep spending until that time. It's such a long time, but it's such a long way to go until the World Cup. So for me, I believe that they will keep buying. They will keep getting the best players to join the Saudi Pro League. And of course, growing the women's football. They are doing what they're doing. They are not a threat to anybody. The league is growing. They're doing what they have to do.
Yeah.
And they're doing it in the right way. They're doing it in the right way. You know what I mean? They're spending money. They're bringing money. They're pushing more money into the European football, because buying all these players means
the money
that transfer window keep coming back into the European football. Clubs are getting money to spend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, they are doing what they have to do to grow their league. So, hey, they have to keep going.
And they've got a good man at the helm, at the top of the pyramid, Mikel Emenalo. I was blown away by him. Lovely, lovely man. We thank Michael for his time as well. The big names keep on rolling on the Obi One Podcast, made possible by BetWinner. We've got a number of more big names already locked in.
Yeah.
Not at privy to tell you anything at this moment in time, folks. But thank you so much. Whether you've listened, whether you've watched this, do let us know your comments below. We'd love to hear feedback on your thoughts on what Mikel Emenalo had to say, the growth of Saudi football, the good old days at Chelsea Football Club as well. Top stuff as always, John. We'll look forward to your company once again very soon.
BetWinner is your reliable partner in the world of sport betting.
BetWinner